All right. Okay. So, weekend warrior, staying on track without missing out. I feel like a lot of people, including myself, struggle on the weekends. They're pretty good Monday through Friday, maybe teeter off a little bit Friday night. And that can kind of put you in this spiral where you feel like you're working out so hard, you're in a deficit, and the scale's not moving, and you're like wondering why. And you feel like you're going crazy because you feel like you're dieting so hard and you're sticking to things. But then you kind of even out on the weekend. So we want to make sure that you guys become weekend warriors. So that way you can learn how to balance staying on track without kind of like missing out on your life as well. So if you can dial it in on the weekends, that will be a huge, huge key to your success. All right, okay, so why weekends matter. So progress isn't made just Monday through Friday. So going off track can slow down the progress you made during the week and make you feel like you're going crazy. Most of the day, just because you're dieting most of the days and then taking a break on the weekend, so you feel like you're in a deficit, but you're tracking majority of the days. And let me give you an exact example of kind of like what or how this looks like. So let's say your goal is to be a 500 calorie deficit. You can lose 1 pound per week. So 1 pound is 3,500 calories. And so if you're in a 500 calorie deficit for 7 days, then you lose 1 pound. So let's say you're in a 500 calorie deficit Monday through Friday. So you burn 2,500 calories. But then on Saturday and Sunday, you might go out to eat, you might have chips and salsa, you might not move around as much. And so you put yourself into a surplus of 1,250 calories per day. And then that would put you at maintenance. And so that way you feel like the scale isn't moving and you're making no progress. And so just little tweaks like that. And a lot of us aren't really in 500 calorie deficits with our nutrition. Our movement also helps. And so that way so that's why we want to keep you moving on the weekends to keep you more in a deficit. And then so that math kind of works out so you don't feel like you're just staying stagnant the whole time. Okay, so something that we can do to help you kind of like conquer the weekends is set intentions early. So have a plan for your weekends before the weekend even happens, so that way you know how to handle it. So plan workouts ahead of time. So if you already did all of your gym workouts during the week, what you can do is schedule your walks or schedule a hike or do something to get some form of movement in and plan that ahead of time. So put it in your calendar, be like 9 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to go out for a walk. And so that way you know that you are going to get in some movement, even if it's not just going to the gym. And then also decide on meals and snacks in advance. So let's say you really love going to a restaurant. For me, it's Via 313. I love getting their Bobo Brazil pizza, which is really high in calories and it's not really good for you. So if I'm going to decide I'm going to have that this weekend, I'm going to plan that in advance. And then I make sure that everything I eat throughout the rest of the day is really high in protein, has lots of like healthy foods in there. Lots of fruits and vegetables. So that way I can go and enjoy the pizza without having to worry that I'm not hitting my protein goal or I'm going overboard. Also write down 1 or 2 goals for the weekend. So example is like get 2 workouts in or go for a walk or go for a hike or play pickleball or hit your 10K steps or drink water or just stay within your calorie goal. I feel like the biggest one that you can do and like the hardest one you can do is just stay within your calorie goal on the weekend. But if you can do that, that's going to make your progress so much quicker. And then keep moving. So I kind of mentioned this earlier, but even if you don't have scheduled workouts like gym workouts, go for walks, hikes, play soccer, whatever, just do something where you're getting out and moving. Even if you go to the mall and go shopping, walk around the mall, get some steps in, just walk around the city and stuff like that. So, or you can even go biking or anything that will keep you active. So that way you're doing something that's active, you're getting some blood flowing, but it's not like a set workout that's super intense. If you are traveling, you can do like a hotel workout that's like really quick, 20 to 30 minutes. You can hop on a Stairmaster or an elliptical or something. That way you get some form of movement in and you feel good. Or you can just do like a 20 to 30 minute ab workout or something that you pull off of YouTube, or your coach can send you one if you're going out of town. So that way you're getting some little form of movement in, and so you feel much better throughout the day. And then use weekends for fun activities, not just the gym. Balance balance fun food. So kind of use the 80-20 rule. So 80% of the time you want to eat really healthy foods, whole foods, fruits, vegetables, lean meats, whole grains, stuff like that. And then 20% is more fun foods. So that's like pizza, wings, drinks, whatever you guys like, and try to have those things more mindfully instead of mindlessly. So let's say you're going to a party and there's pizza there and you're like, okay, well, I'm only gonna have 2 slices of pizza, and then you eat the pizza and then later you're like, oh, okay, well, I just want like one more slice, and then later like an hour or two later, you're like, I'm just gonna have like one more slice, and then maybe you're gonna have like a handful of like M&Ms in the bowl or like whatever. So it's kind of more mindless rather than mindfully eating those things. So if you go in with a plan, knowing that you're gonna have 2 pieces of pizza and maybe like a piece of cake or some form of dessert, and you plan that ahead of time, that will make it so that you can enjoy those foods, but you're being mindful of it. So it's not like you are adding extra calories that you didn't plan for. And then portion control is your superpower. So it's totally fine to have foods that are more fun, but as long as they are within your calorie range and the portion is controlled to like a single serving size, sometimes 2 serving sizes. So that way you can have that balance there. And then when you are tracking, try to not just pick the lower calorie or lowest calorie option in MyFitnessPal. So a lot of people, I'll see people tracking pizza and they'll be tracking like a Domino's large slice of pizza for 130 calories. And that's probably half to a third the amount of calories a large slice of pizza is. Typically they're around like 300 to 400 calories. And so if you look up a piece of pizza in MyFitnessPal, don't just track the lowest piece and have like 4 or 5 pieces of that. Try to be really honest with yourself and be like, okay, a piece of pizza is typically 300 or 400 calories. Let's try to find a piece that's like around that size, around that calorie range. And so don't just try to pick the lowest calorie option in MyFitnessPal thinking you can eat more food. Your body is going to know how many calories it actually has, whether or not you log the actual calories in MyFitnessPal. And if you're struggling with knowing how many calories are in something, if it doesn't pop up in MyFitnessPal, then you use ChatGPT. So say I'm at Domino's Pizza in Pleasant Grove, Utah, and I got a large slice of pepperoni pizza. How many calories is in that? And then it will kind of spit out a good calorie range for you, and then just go off of that. So you can always use a backup with ChatGPT if MyFitnessPal doesn't have it. Being smart with eating out. So check menus ahead of time and pre-log it so that way you have a plan going into the restaurant. So I recommend limiting eating out to like twice a week. So that way you're not just kind of like guessing more often than not. But if you have a plan going into restaurants, that way you can go enjoy yourself and enjoy the foods that you want to eat while still sticking to your plan. So let's say I'm going to go to Via 313 tonight, and I know I'm going to have 3 slices of their pizza. They're each 300 calories, so that's 900 calories. And so I need to make sure that the rest of the 1,000 calories that I have for the day, I need to make sure that I hit my protein goal. So the rest of the day, I'm going to be having like Greek yogurt, lean meats, fruits and vegetables, stuff like that. And so that way I can even hit my protein goal before I even have the pizza at night. And that way when I have the pizza, I don't feel any guilt. I don't feel any shame. I'm not worried or not if I'm going to still reach my goals. I just know that that's going to happen, and I have a plan moving forward. And that kind of takes a lot of pressure off of eating out, because I know a lot of times people will just avoid eating out because they don't know how to track, and they don't know if they're like doing it correctly, or they don't know how much food or calories is in what foods that they order, and they're worried that they're going to overeat. So having a plan can help take that stress out of eating out when you are in a fat loss phase, and then hopefully help build confidence. And so that way you do feel really confident when you do eat out, that you're going to be able to stick to your plan and that you can still achieve your goals while doing that. And it is a skill to learn. And if you're struggling with it, just always like talk to your coach and see if there's anything they can do to help you there. I was just checking to see if anybody dropped anything in the chat. Okay, so also when you're eating out, try to prioritize lean meats and veggies, especially if you're like traveling and eating out. If you're eating out multiple times in a week, more than the 2 times that I recommend, really just try to not pick the least healthy thing on the menu every single time. sometimes try to pick like the chicken and broccoli or the steak and potatoes or something like that, where it's a little bit on the healthier side. And so that way you're not just picking the fun meal multiple times while you are eating out. And then also share appetizers or desserts or even the main meal. So if you know you really want an appetizer or a dessert, just like split meals with people. That way you're getting half the amount of calories, and that will make it so much easier to stick to your calorie goal. And then also can help you with your budget a little bit too. So you're paying for half the meal instead of the whole meal. And then try to skip mindless extras like chips, the bread basket, or refills of soda or alcohol. So if you do get a soda, just try to have one and be satisfied with that, and then have water after that. So that way, if you do want a soda, you can enjoy that, but try to not have multiple refills, because it can be from having like 100 to 200 calories of soda versus like 400 to 600 calories of soda if you keep getting that refilled. Or of course you could get diet soda that has 0 calories. So just try to be a little bit more mindful about the stuff that they bring out to the table beforehand. So you're not just eating mindless calories on top of the meal that you already pre-logged. Unless of course you pre-log some bread or chips or whatever to go into your meal. Just try to be mindful about your portion size. Grab how many chips you're going to eat, grab the amount of salsa you're going to eat and put it on your plate, and then eat that, and then don't go back and keep grabbing more chips out of the basket. And so that way you can be satisfied, you can enjoy some of the chips, but you're not constantly like eating more and more of them. Try to not skip meals. So skipping meals, kind of like if you skip breakfast, you could end up overeating later because you're starving. So try to not skip meals going into parties or events, especially at night. Still try to eat pretty regularly throughout the day, even if it's a little bit lighter. So that way you're not going into the restaurant starving, or you're not going into the event starving, and you end up overeating. So stick to your usual meal times when possible, and then try to pack protein snacks. So like high protein snacks like jerky, protein bars, Greek yogurts, and ready to drink protein shakes. So that way throughout the day you have snacks with you, and you're not hungry and like ravenous throughout the day. And then when you do get to the restaurant or an event or a party or get home to eat, you're not just going all out and overeating. And then try to stick to a schedule. So I think one of the biggest things that a lot of people will struggle with is staying on their sleep schedule. So just because it's the weekend doesn't mean you need to stay up till 1 a.m. or sleep in. I think one of the best things you can do to keep your hormones balanced is try to go to bed and wake up at the same time that you do during the weekdays. So try to treat it like it's a set schedule, and that will help you balance your hormones, which will also help your body decrease cravings. And then you're less likely to crave high sugar foods or high fatty, salty foods. And then you're less likely to overeat at night too, because you're not staying up as late. So typically if you stay up later, there's actually a hormone that kind of gets released at night that will cause you to crave food and will cause you to feel like you're hungry and cause you to feel like you need to eat. And so if you just go to bed and stick to your normal bedtime routine, that will really help with any extra calories or cravings that make it harder to stick to your goals. And then schedule gym or physical activity, and it doesn't have to be just the gym, kind of like we mentioned. It could be foam rolling, yoga, to help reset your body, or just kind of like something fun to go out and do. And if there is an event on the weekend, don't skip it. Try to enjoy the moment, and memories are more important than perfection. So what you can do to help you enjoy events is just plan ahead. So eat lighter throughout the day, try to have like protein and vegetables, and then save calories for the event. And then also see if you can find out what foods they're going to have at the event. So that way you can kind of have an idea of how many calories you need, or you can even pre-log your food before even going to the event if you know exactly what they're going to serve. So that can also help you there. And then choose wisely at the event. Try to fill your plate with protein and vegetables first, and then pick kind of like 1 or 2 fun foods, whether it's like a roll or dessert or whatever. And then just try to have a little bit more of a balanced plate, but have some fun foods in there because you don't want to feel like you're missing out on things. And then be mindful of drinking. You can alternate alcohol with water, and then try to limit it to 2 drinks per night. And then try to not have the most high calorie alcohol options. Try to have a little bit lower calorie alcohol options if you are choosing to drink. And so that way, you can have a little bit of alcohol, but you're not going overboard and you're not going to feel gross the next day after drinking. And then I think the biggest thing is if you do go overboard at an event, then just get right back on track the next meal. So not even the next day, like literally the next meal or the next snack. So if you go out to lunch for a birthday and you kind of overeat, instead of skipping breakfast, just have skipping dinner, try to have like a normal meal at dinner that might be like a little bit lighter or it might be just protein, but then that way you get right back on track that meal rather than being like, well, I overate at lunch, I'm just gonna go out to eat for dinner again, and then I just did so bad yesterday and it was Saturday, so I'm just gonna eat again Sunday because it's football season, and then I'll start again fresh on Monday. So all of that, or that mindset, can really spiral and then make you get further away from your goal rather than if you were just to get right back on track after that meal, on the next snack or the next meal. It will make it so that you don't have that spiral and you don't put on extra calories or you don't eat extra calories, and you kind of just go right back on track, and then it does much less damage than if you were to just let that spiral. And then also just remember it's okay to say no. So turning something down doesn't mean you're missing out. It means you're honoring your goals. And you don't have to say no all the time, but it's okay to say no sometimes, right? And so every time you choose a food that aligns with your commitment, you're reminding yourself that your progress and your goals matter to you. And so go enjoy the moments, but remember, joy comes from the people and experience, not just the food at the event. So really try to focus on the people and connecting with them. And I think it will make it much more meaningful rather than just hyperfixating on the food and what you're going to eat there. And that is also much easier said than done, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And then stay accountable. So track foods in the app. So I know a lot of people will be like, well, I ate out, I didn't know what to track, and so I just didn't track the rest of the day. And that kind of just makes them feel like they can eat whatever they want because they're already in the mindset that they're not going to track the rest of the day. And so they feel like it doesn't count. So I still want you to track, even if you are going to go over on your calories. So that way you can just have that data and you can know what happened. And so that way you can work with your coach to help you so that doesn't happen again. Or so that way you hold yourself accountable and be like, okay, so that's why the scale went up a little bit because I did overeat on this day, rather than you not logging it and then you're like, well, I don't really know what happened, so I don't really know why the scale went up. But just still tracking it will help hold you accountable to that and be like, okay, yeah, I really did some damage there. So maybe next time I just won't go as aggressive there. But it's more for data. It's not saying that you passed or failed or that you did good or bad. It's literally just data. So try to take any moral stance out of it, whether you do good or bad. It's more just like, okay, I stuck with my goals or I didn't. And it's not something that you should feel guilty or ashamed of ever. It's more just something that is like a learning experience. And then check in with your coach or accountability buddy. So tell someone in person your plan for the weekend or for an event so that they can hold you accountable to it. Be like, okay, so I know we're going to go to dinner and I know I'm going to want to eat more than 2 slices of pizza, but don't let me have more than 2 slices of pizza because I also want to eat cake, okay? So I'm gonna have 1 piece of cake and 2 slices of pizza, and if I try to eat more than that, tell me no. And so that way the person that's with you can be like, hey, you said you only wanted to eat this much, let's try to stick to that. And then, so that way someone can hold you accountable there, because obviously we're virtual coaches, we'll try to hold you accountable the best we can, but we can't be there at every single wedding holding your hand and making sure that you stick to it. And then also celebrate the wins on Monday morning. So you can start the week out strong, and so you can realize how well you did. Maybe talk to your coach and be like, okay, so I did this, this, and this well. I didn't do this super well, but I am proud of myself for still getting my steps in and hitting my water goal over the weekend, because I normally would just be like sitting on the couch watching Summer I Turned Pretty. So I think if you start rewiring your brain to pick out all the things that you're doing well, more of those things will stand out to you, and the more you'll be able to realize like, okay, I am making changes. It wasn't perfect, but I am making progress there. So it's not meant to be perfect, but we do want you to make progress and do celebrate those wins when you do make them. Because I know we can be definitely hard on ourselves. And holding you accountable is exactly why you hired us. So if you need weekend check-ins, tell your coach, and that way we can kind of set up like a message in the app to go out and remind you to stay on track. Or you can send us an update on your meals or your workouts or your wins throughout the weekend, and so we can celebrate the progress and kind of like troubleshoot your struggles. And then share your plans. So if you do have like a big event coming up over the weekend, or even during the weekday, make sure you share that with your coach and be like, hey, I need a game plan for this because I want to make sure that I still stay on track with my goals, but I don't go overboard and I still enjoy the event that I'm going to. So that way you can come up with a plan with your coach and then get the feedback and like have a plan before it even happens. And then ask for support. We can't help you if we don't know you're struggling, so communicate with us. We will never make you feel guilty or ashamed for how a weekend or an event went. The whole point of us is to help you kind of like recognize where you're at, recognize your struggles, and then help you fix those and change those. So just communicate with us. Never feel, I guess, like bashful or like ashamed to come to us, because that's literally why we're here and why we want to help you. Okay, so here we are going to open up to a Q&A. It looks like nobody really dropped anything in the chat. So does anybody have any questions or comments on that presentation at all?
I do have one question.
Okay.
Thank you so much for suggesting ChatGPT. I have not thought to look at that because there's things in MyFitnessPal I can't find. I have a birthday party barbecue today, and then tomorrow a birthday brunch. So my question is, where do if it's not in MyFitnessPal, but ChatGPT can tell me roughly the calories and everything, how do I put that into MyFitnessPal?
So there's a quick add calorie option. So I would just quick add the calories. It won't count the protein in there or like the fats and carbs, but as long as you have the calories logged for it, then that'll be fine. And then you can just try to eat your protein throughout the rest of the day. Or if you know it typically has around like 10, 20 grams of protein, then you can just keep that in your mind where you're like, okay, so I had 80 grams, there's 20 in that meal that I just added the calories. And then that way, you know, you're at your protein goal, and you can just tell your coach, so that way she knows that you hit it that day. But yeah, so the quick add option is your best. I think more premium will allow you to add like the protein and carbs and fats, but I don't pay for MyFitnessPal, so I don't do that. I just track the calories when that happens.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Cool. Okay, if any others pop up, I'm going to answer Cassie's question that she answered. And if you have any other questions that pop up, feel free to just like raise your hand. So I think right here, there's like a raise your hand tool where you can raise it. And that way I can see if you want to say something. Alrighty. Okay, so for Cassie, she said, managing eating and working out during sickness. Okay, so it depends how sick you are, right? So obviously, if you are throwing up and you have awful diarrhea, like we don't want you out and about and like getting other people sick. So stay home, rest. It's not going to throw off your progress that much if you're down for like a day or two. Like a day or two is so small in the grand scheme of things. So as soon as you are starting to feel better, then I want you to get up and go for small walks, whether it's like a quick 3-minute walk or a 5-minute walk, or just walking around your house a couple of times. Or if you can, get up and go walk around the block and get some sunlight on your skin. That will kind of help. And it just depends on how awful or how good you feel. And then once you get back into being able to go to the gym and you're not contagious, then I want you to ease back into your workouts. So you might not be able to lift as heavy as you did the week that you were feeling good before you got sick. So ease back into your workouts. Don't try to be a hero and hit a new PR or match your strength levels the week before. Just try to kind of like get used to working out again. And then once you do feel better, start pushing yourself again. And then I think the biggest thing that you need to focus on while you are kind of down and out is just staying hydrated, especially if you are throwing up and stuff like that. Try to have lots of water, electrolytes, get lots of sleep, make sure that you're getting at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night. And so that way you can recover quicker. But if you start working out too quickly, that can put more stress on your body and it can cause your sickness to stay around longer, and we don't want that. So I would rather you take off like 4 or 5 days and then start easing back into things rather than just trying to be a gym hero and go in when you're feeling awful and try to push through that and extend your sickness longer than it needs to be. So just doing what you can with where you're at. And I think that is like the best way to handle that. So really focus on water, get up and walk around when you're feeling good enough, and then start lifting and easing back into that once you are able to do that. Sound good? Got a lot of head nods there. Bad cold, no throwing up. Yeah, so try to not get other people sick because it's not fun. So if you do have any like gym equipment at your house too, we can also do body weight workouts too. So that way you can ease in there, and we can schedule body weight workouts or band workouts or just like dumbbell only workouts while you are kind of like easing back into things before you get ready to go back into the gym too. So that's also an option. Blair?
So on top of that, when you're not feeling well and you're kind of easing into working out again, would you just skip those workouts for that week and then just kind of jump in where you start feeling better, or would you move those workouts so that you get them done?
So that will depend on you and your coach and what they decide. So let's say you skip Monday through Friday, but you start feeling better on Saturday, you can move those workouts during the week onto the weekend if you do feel good. If not, if you take an entire week off or maybe like 10 to 14 days, so like 10, 2 weeks. I'm just seeing Destiny's camera. Then you can have your coach add on a couple weeks to the phase, so that way you can have like a really good chance at doing well with the phase. And so it just depends on the sickness and how bad it is, but you can do both options. So either can rearrange your workouts to get them done later, or we can add a couple weeks onto the phase. Cool. All right. Anybody else have any questions? Any wins you guys want to share before we get off the call?
I kind of have a win. It kind of goes with today's weekend warrior. On Friday, I didn't have any meals prepped or anything for the evening. So it was automatically a thought of let's go out to eat. And the thought of like where to go and what sounded good and what was going to fit in with my meals. We just ended up going to the store and grabbing some steak and vegetables and just quickly prepping that. And it probably was as fast as going out to eat.
Sweet. That's awesome.
So that was kind of nice.
That is a big one. Good job. Because that's not always the easy thing to do. So good job. Sweet. And then steak is great too. Steak tastes good. So I don't feel like you're missing out there. Okay, cool. Anything else? Comments, questions, concerns? Does anyone need to yell at me this week?
This week?
Never.
No, I guess it could be a little bit of yell at you this week, just like Poe said earlier about the challenge. Because my win is that I'm still doing it,
Still alive.
even if I'm doing burpees at 10 o'clock at night to finish the 75. But I don't know how the next couple of weeks are gonna go. But
I mean, is it 100 this week?
Yeah.
It's 100 this week. So may the odds be ever in your favor. Hi, Kyle. Mallory, have you been doing the challenge or no? Mallory's new this week, so she hasn't been doing it.
We're easing into it.
You can join in the next challenge for October. That'll be
Yes.
good for
I'm
you.
gonna pick you all. Just kidding, I won't.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, it was good seeing you guys. Let me know if you have any suggestions on anything else you want us or want me to present on. I have a list of things that we got from last call. So we have some fun ideas. And I think we'll probably do how to track next time, so that way we can learn how to track things really accurately, because it's a skill and a lot of people suck at it. So we need to make sure that we're good at it. Okay. All right. Have a good one. You guys are awesome, and go crush the week.
Thanks.
Later.
Bye.